We are nothing sacred. We are nothing sacred. We are nothing sacred. With Maxwell Silverhammer. We are nothing sacred. With Cruise Control. We are nothing sacred.
Oh, yes, bitches. We're back once again.
This is the Nothing Sacred interview.
Yes. Nothing Sacred interview. I'm Maxwell Silverhammer.
And I am Cruise Control.
And with us, we have Dustin Reichert, who is a former Anoka County Sheriff's deputy and also is the author of the book 1088 Officer Down. Dustin, how you doing?
I'm doing all right. How you guys doing?
Oh,
good.
Great. Thank you for joining us today. And also, let's get a little subtitle here. It says 1088 Officer Down, the story of an officer involved shooting, politics, and the survival of post-traumatic stress disorder. So thank you for joining us. First thing we always do when we have officers on or anybody who served our country or their community in any kind of first responder position is to thank you for your service.
Absolutely.
Especially right now. We are fully in support. Proudly in support of all of our police officers.
We back the blue, man.
No idea how people can do that kind of job. As someone who knows I wouldn't be able to do that, in terms of just my mentality and just knowing that other people can and are willing to do that is very important and should be acknowledged, especially right now. So thank you for that.
Absolutely. I appreciate that.
Absolutely. So, man, what is 1088? Just starting off.
You know, it's a very complex book about. It's actually an easy book. I mean, it's just my story. It's a story about my shooting. You know, I was unfortunately had to be involved in a police shooting that resulted in me being injured and having to medically retire, and it resulted in the death of the other individual. And you know, I found out the hard way that a shooting goes way beyond just the dynamics of the shooting. There's the physical healing, the mental health and emotional healing. There's administrative things on the inside that. I know the news likes to make it like it's everybody's taking care of the cops' back, but, you know, often that's not the truth. And so there's those internal struggles, and you got to deal with, you know, the taking of life. You've got to go through court reviews and grand juries, and those are pretty scary. And then after all that, you just kind of dumped off and left to figure out the mess.
Well, you know, and my thing was, I should have asked you what the numbers 1088 stood for.
Yeah, you know, when I wrote it, I wasn't sure, and I got a lot of feedback back and forth on it, but that's more local. So in our county specific and a lot of places in Minnesota, if you say 1088, that means the officer is in big, big trouble. Okay. And so those are literally the words that my partner said was 1088, officer down, 1088.
So police code for that particular city.
Yeah.
Yes, for our countywide dispatch in several places in Minnesota as well.
And this all stems from an incident that happened on May 12th of 2003, correct? That evening?
God, yeah. 17 and a half years ago.
Yeah.
Wow.
And go ahead, Max.
Well, you know what was crazy is the guy because basically you responded to a noise complaint, you knocked on the door, and the guy basically just started shooting at you. And and you said there was nothing in his toxicology. And he actually had some good news in court that particular day. He had another case, I guess, that wasn't even criminal, but was some kind of like civil or work-related deal. And things seemed to be okay with the guy. What was his problem? I never really got what his deal was.
That's because none of us know. Just to make sure we clarify, I was the one that pulled the trigger first. But it was, in my opinion and my experience with this, it was a race to the trigger pulls. We don't know. Loud music call. It's a Thursday night, 2 a.m. Full moonlit night, no cars in the driveway, there's no party. Neighbors called, so, you know, it's going to be a pretty loose. He's playing the Bee Gees, no lie.
Right, that's what you said.
I'm not even going to lie. I was in the parking driveway doing a little disco dance hip shake as my partner approached. Because she was brand new. She was 2 days on her own, so I was just like, your call, you go. You know, it was one of those things we're not worried about. And unfortunately, he came, turned around, grabbed a gun out of the kitchen, came back around, and for some reason, even after we yelled the commands, even after we had the full moonlight, full uniformed deputies, a female high-pitched voice, a male low-pitched, you know. And at one point, forget all the polites, it's police. And finally, I'm like, it's the fucking police, drop the gun. And didn't matter. He raised it, pointed it, I pointed, and by the time I got my gun up, he already had it pointed between my eyes.
Jesus.
Wow.
Man.
And to add to the picture, it was from about 5 to 8 feet away, and he was about 2 foot elevation up. So,
wow,
I was at a complete tactical disadvantage. Completely no cover, nothing in that yard.
Well, you guys got to strategize quickly too. You know what I mean? You got to assess the situation in seconds. You know, like you said, you're talking about him standing higher than you. You know, most people don't think like that. You know.
Well, and it was a duplex, so, you know, my thoughts, you know, Sam was brand new. Sam was a CSO with us for 2 years, a friend of mine. She was an amazing CSO and turned into a great cop. But, you know, that's brand new stuff. Yeah. And it's not like she's going to exactly know what to do. And as I sat there, it's a duplex. I'm not going to run, because if I run and he shoots, I'm going to get shot in my back, and that's not going to happen. And so then it become, what do I do? So I finally said, all right, we got to confront this. He's not going to shoot anyway. And I just took one big step away from her so that if he does shoot, he doesn't get both of us. And by doing that, it's too late. I'm out in the middle of the yard. I'm committed. And even with that, yeah, in all that process, I'm like, there's no way this is going to happen. Yeah. Unfortunately, it did. And then when I shot him and hit him the door first in the chest, because he was halfway out the door, and he returned fire, tracking my flashlight. He double tapped me. It turns out he was a marksman. And he was able to double tap me after getting a lethal blow and still take me down.
Wow.
And I was running as fast as I possibly could to my car.
Let's go back just a little bit. I know you mentioned this in your book. I think you talked the first part is about how your motivation to become a police officer. You mentioned your partner was just starting. How long had you been involved in field work, I guess you could say? Is that what you call it?
It's been a while. I lived in Texas when I was going to business school, and finally decided we were talking about widgets in class. And I kept thinking to myself, what the hell is a widget? And I just got up and I said, nope, I know what my mom wants, but it's not going to happen. Went down to the guidance counselor and said, I want to change my degree. I want to be a police officer. And eventually came back to Minnesota because this is where I wanted to be. And probably in 95, I think I got on the reserve unit for Ramsey County on their Lakes and Trail, and then worked my way up to part-time licensed, and I got to be a sergeant of the unit, which, don't get too excited, it just meant I have to call everybody and ask them why they're not pulling in volunteer hours. and then in 98, I got hired full-time with the Anoka County Sheriff's Office.
So five full years. Any incidents remotely like this previous? I mean, obviously you've done routine sound calls previously, like a lot, but any kind of anything remotely as traumatic as this happening in those 5 years you can compare it to?
I mean, as a police officer, we get to see a lot of unique traumas, but the only one was, there was a shooting down in Spring Lake Park that I touched on in there, and I remember that a partner of mine and I were just in. We showed up early because we were the newer guys, and they're yelling out Officer down in Spring Lake Park or Columbia Heights, which is a long drive. And by the time we got down there, listening to officer after officer getting shot on the radio, right when we got down there, get out of our squads, having no clue where we're going to go, they happened to finally take the guy in custody.
Wow.
Oh, man. Got lucky there.
People can say what they want, but this big bad mean police force of Minneapolis, they border Columbia Heights, and they actually were the ones, after getting a couple officers shot, also were the ones to finally get them in custody.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of things. And you happen to be in that area as well. That's
it's the turmoil up here.
Yeah, a lot of stuff's going on with that. So you got hit, you got tapped, you got shot twice.
Yep, shot me the first round, hit me in the arm, and then blew out about a half an inch of my bone, half my bicep, half my tricep. He had a 40 caliber, or maybe it was a 45. And then he hit me with a second round that I thought had hit me in my leg and got my femoral artery, which of course you can bleed very fast to death too.
Yes.
And I mean, that second round hit me and dropped me like nobody's business. It was an immediate drop.
That's what did you say? The way you described it was interesting too. You said you made a sound when you hit the ground, like a wailing sound or something that you described in the book.
Yeah, and I couldn't even recreate it if you wanted me to. When the first one hit me, it was surreal. I thought I was dreaming. I was like, oh my God, I just got fucking and then boom, as I'm thinking that, the next round hit me. And it was just, like I said, it had trauma internally. They call it double tap. The idea of the double tap is you fire quicker two in a row because they should be closer together, causing further trauma, thus shutting down the threat. And in this case, he double tapped me, and it shut me down fast. And I made this sound that, My partner doesn't even like to talk about when we talk about it. It's just this cackle of a whatever as I hit the ground.
That's what it was. Yeah, when you described it in the book right away, I could hear it without hearing it. It was like, oh, shit. Like, this is real, man. That's like, you almost felt like you were there and you heard the noise,
Yeah, and then it becomes a whole new mode once that happens.
I mean, you're lying there, so you're laying there. Did it knock you, like, in terms of, like, senseless, in terms of, like, your remembering of the situation lying there? Or was it just, because that seems like the amount of shock and pain could totally, like...
Interestingly enough, the pain hadn't set in. Mm-hmm. So I remember seeing, when it hit my right arm, it sent my gun flying. I could actually see it flying. I didn't say it, but I kind of had that mentality of no, that slow no.
Yeah.
But that's your weapon. I'm in a gunfight with no gun. And then when the second time it hit me, I looked around and I could see that my arm was completely broken. And so I had to get over the radio. I had to figure out where my gun was. This guy is still a few feet from me. Where's my partner? I can hear her yelling. There's no more gunshots at that point. I know I hit him. Where's the cover? Crawl to the car. Can't crawl to the car anymore because it just shut me down. And if I couldn't get on the radio, so I threw the radio in anger. And then from there, it kind of goes into survival mode because I realized that he can come back and shoot me at any time. And as I'm realizing this, it's starting to hurt a lot. And so I had to play dead. I thought I was dying from the femoral artery. So I just put pressure on there. I certified as an EMT before I became a police officer while I was trying to get into the skills program. That's our the core police training. Mm-hmm. And I just slowed my breathing, and I thought for sure I was going to bleed to death.
Yeah, who's to think you're going to get EMT training and have to use it on yourself?
Right.
I'd never thought of it that way, but it's a good point.
Yeah.
Wow.
But that's great. You got the training. You saved yourself with that training, maybe, or did the proper thing you should have. So, wow. Max, you know more about that. Go ahead and.
And the second shot hit you in the balls or something?
Close. Although I felt it, I'd have to fast forward. But I get in the hospital. I remember I felt it in my leg, right where my femoral artery is. I remember I got in the ambulance and I look up and I'm like, how bad am I bleeding? And they're like, actually, we don't see a lot of blood. And I'm listening to the blood pressure and I'm listening to the pulse and I'm asking them to read all the readings. And that was at that moment, I'm like, holy shit, I just survived a shooting. Wow. And then when we got to the hospital, I'm all doped up on, I don't even like drugs, but I'm begging for pain pills at this for something. Right. And by the time I got to the hospital, I very distinctly, we get in the room, there's a whole team ready for me as they're waiting for the chopper to come get me. And they start cutting my pants off, and I kind of made a crack. And that's what let my partners know. And I was like, just so you, hold on. Just so you ladies know, I've been shot. So there's probably been shrinkage. And, a little chuckle. Everybody's trying to stay professional. But you know what? When they cut my pants off and I could see the looks on their faces, I didn't get shot in the leg. I got shot about 1/8 of an inch above the penis. Right at the base, right above the base. And I went absolutely apeshit ballistic in there.
Wow.
I mean, it's not funny, but I mean, it's still like,
you can laugh, Max. I've already, the limited I've gotten to know you, you go ahead. I already knew you were going to.
Yeah, that's him. I'm a little bit more subdued about it because,
Maybe Let's make it clear. I've had 2 kids since then, so it works.
So, nothing's broken then, is what you're saying.
That's a good thing. So you're able to keep going. So that obviously was that night. So did that shot kill the suspect? Did that one shot?
Yeah, it hit him right around center mass. It just hit the tip or part of the screen door that he was leaning out, and then hit him. I don't remember if it was the right or left lung, but ultimately. You get hit in the lung with a bullet, it's not looking good for you. And he just obviously was able to return fire. He was actually able to return and get downstairs, as I could see the trail of blood. And he got on the phone. He actually called dispatch. So I'm listening to dispatch on that radio. They're describing to other people. They think it's me on the phone dying. And unfortunately for our dispatchers, and I don't think his family ever had to hear it, but he dies while he's on the phone with them.
Oh, shit. Wow, that's quite the 911 call. Sure.
And my dispatchers thought it was me.
Oh, jeez.
Wow. Oh, God.
And you're obviously the Sam, your partner there. That's a 2 days on the.
Yeah, she got thrown into the realm of just police hell. I mean,
right. Welcome to the job. Here you go.
I can say this now that I'm retired, but I looked at one of my supervisors after things calmed down. I said, had it been hurt and got shot, you guys would have had a much bigger scene to clean up because I would have chased him down and got him. Gunfire, I wouldn't have cared. But 2 days on her own, I mean, she was a really impressive deputy on FTO. I tested her out, even though she wasn't one of my trainees, because I wasn't a trainer. I would work the same shift, and I would throw every scenario at her that I could, and she always passed my scenarios with flying colors. And she's a good cop.
She's still on the force?
I won't say which agencies, but she left after a while because she dealt with a lot of the same crap that I dealt with in a different way, and it was hard for us to do it. And then she left for a while, and then she actually went down to southern Minnesota, got a job as a civilian employee for a sheriff's office down there, and they talked her into becoming licensed. And actually, she worked for a few years and did a lot of good things, and was a union rep and was a negotiator, and she just retired because she's a professor of criminal justice now.
Oh, well, congratulations to her. Maybe
that's awesome.
If she listens to this this little our little hole in the wall here in the corner of the internet, then congratulations on that.
Absolutely, she'll appreciate that. She and I talk 1 to 3 times a year, and she's an amazing person, and it just, I think it makes both of our days. She'll probably be okay with me telling this, but this last year, it was her last shift ever working a night shift was on the anniversary. And when she told me that, I was like, well, don't you go to any fucking loud music calls tonight. You just ignore them.
Yeah, just stay away from the Bee Gees, too.
Especially if you're playing Bee Gees. Then you got to get the fuck
stay
out.
alive.
Yeah.
Staying alive.
I'll tell you, the excitement in this book wasn't, like when you read Lieutenant Randy Sutton's book, you're looking for the action. So when I was first going to start reading your book, I was thinking, it's going to be the action, the gunfire. That's going to be the draw to the book. But no, the draw to the book is actually the crazy shit your department was doing afterwards to you. And
it was nuts.
So let's start off. Let's just go from that night. Now, a lot of the times that we've heard about PTSD, it seems like the majority of times it ain't like from that night on, you all have nightmares, and it's all this big dramatic, waking up in sweats. It's like happens like later on, or hits you at times where you're not really aware that it's even there, and then it just nails you. Like, how did that? Well, actually, I'll let you guys. What happened next? How did that work?
Well, first of all, I want to make sure, Max, if I would have written the book about the dynamics of just a shooting, you wouldn't have just read it in one day. You'd have read it in about 4 minutes.
Yeah.
Because that's usually how they go down. Bam, 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 over.
Right.
And so, finding the pathway to accepting that you've got some emotional or mental health because of an incident is tough. It's tough. It's tough because you don't know who to tell. You don't know how it's going to be used against you. In my particular case, it's such a. I'm gonna, for those that are listening, I've got to shorten and generalize it because it just, I get hit from so many angles with this that even I couldn't keep up. I like life. I really, really like life. But I think that had I not liked life and had I not been so stubborn, I may have been one of those officers that took his own life.
Wow, it was that bad, huh?
Oh God, I actually told them that towards the end of my working with them. I told one of the commanders, I was like, you know what? I was like, I never understood how they used to drive somebody so nuts that they would eat their gun. And I said, I'm not going to do it. I promise you that. But I said, I get it now. I absolutely understand.
Well, most of it was because of what they were doing to you. At one point.
Then they sent me on forced medical leave after that. And I was like, nice. Want me to go do it at home, huh? Well, it's not going to happen. I'm not going to kill myself.
Right.
So let's get into that. So, because obviously it's about the issues you've had with the mental issues after having that experience, which I don't see how anybody couldn't. First, not only are you shot several times and you think you might die, but you shoot someone else and actually murders. Well, not murder, kill. That's a wrong word.
I appreciate you correcting that. Yeah,
I definitely I do apologize.
You were good.
So, okay, cool. How that can affect you emotionally, like both things at once. Like it's like all this shit at once, and then, like you said, politics. So what happens next? So you're obviously out of the force for a while. You heal up, or you try to heal up. That must have been a process as well, rehab.
Yeah, and to help you understand it is I'll just shorten what they did, because I used to try to do speaking and I would try to include everything. It was probably because of my bitterness, and then I realized I would lose my audience because it's just only so much people can take in. And I know you had a chance to review the book, and I know Max read the book fully and probably get a gist. But even then, that Max, there wasn't necessarily everything. But no, so long story short, You come back, you're dealing with things. You got to deal with work comp people, which were just a nightmare. And there's pressure. Can you come work 4 hours? Come on, we need you back light duty. Your doctor says no. I mean, I'm regenerating a half an inch of bone. I've got a plate in my arm. And so I kind of little fights. But you know what? I wanted to be around people, so I was okay with it. And then once I'm back, it got up to 8 months, and I kept asking, where are we at with it? Because what you do is you do a shooting review board, and then you do a critical incident review. And one of them is based on understanding if the shooting was within policy or not. The other one for our agency is about understanding, do policies need to change for this? Because, of course, the world right now thinks that agencies don't do internal reviews, but they do a lot of them.
Oh, God.
Probably too many.
I bet it's awful. I bet it's absolutely fucking terrible to have to go through.
I mean, they really
every
think
moment.
that, here, pat them on the back, you can go back to work. No, they don't do that. It's a lot, because, like you said, there's a lot to deal with just with taking a life. There's a lot to deal with when you almost die. There's a lot to deal with when you get injured. So after about 8 months, I kept asking them, I'm like, hey, Captain, where are we at? Can we just because they combine the two instead of separate them? Because the shooting, when they thought it happened, they thought the guy shot me and then I shot him and it was over. So that's how they put it out. That's not how it was. And so then they were embarrassed and they kept backtracking and they combined the two review boards because they thought it would be easy. My own agency investigated the shooting, which is a huge no-no. But we have a really good crime lab that would have, if I was in the wrong, they would have said I was in the wrong. And ultimately, I just kept getting madder because they kept saying, you're okay. And I'm like, no, you need to say it. I don't know why you need to say it. All I know is you need to say that I was a legit shoot. And I went through the grand jury proceedings. I got cleared by them pretty fast, actually. And just after 8 months, I saw a award thing. And I saw that, some people were getting awards for the shooting. I'm like, great. I saw that I was getting an award for a Purple Heart for being a victim. And I shouldn't have got upset by that, but the word victim bothered me. And it really bothered me, my partner, who stayed there thinking she was covering over, talking to a dead body. She didn't get an award. And so I just lost it. And then they sent me home longer and brought me back, and it was a whole lot of stuff that happened after that. But that was probably the start of the dominoes.
Well, what I thought was crazy is they had a guy, you were assigned to some psychiatrist in Missouri, and they had another dude doing the assessment. But yet this guy's name was on that. That was crazy. That was suspicious.
Yeah, after I had that little blow up, because I kept trying to avoid it, but some of your friends were like, what's wrong? I'm like, just leave me alone. Just let me calm down. And then when they didn't, I just blew up about it all. And they sent me to the main office and eventually sent me in for a psych eval, what they call is fitness for duty eval. Understandable if they want to send a police officer for one of those. And the guy who did it has done them for a local agency around here, too. He is in Illinois, and no worries. When they assigned me to him, they're doing things like you're ordered to, and little things are semantics, but okay. And when I got there, I noticed it was a different name, and my lawyer is like, "All right, just don't offer too much, but just be open and answer properly." And as we went through, I was like, "Okay," she said, "Stay calm," because I'm very defensive at this point. And while we're in there, he kept bringing up about all my medical appointments because I was going 1 to 2 days a week for all my appointments for this. And he said something. He goes, well, you sure do go to the doctor a lot. And I was like, you do know I was in a shooting, right? And he goes, you were? He had no clue I was in a shooting. And if you can imagine, my wall went up right there, and I pretty much failed that psych eval immediately after that.
That's great. But he didn't even have the whole case on you, yet he's evaluating you. That's what I thought was crazy.
And then the other guy actually was the evaluator that wrote the report, although I had never met him, which is even crazier.
I don't know how they even were able to pull something like that off.
Well, when we figured it out, we're like, whoa. But we were so deep into the fight by then. I mean, it was a couple-year battle at that point.
And it said, there's a chapter in here about media perceptions or media reaction or something like that. Did this get out a little bit and get out there where you had to deal with the public as well?
It got out the way it's supposed to get out.
Okay.
You wake up in the morning and police officer's been shot, one man's dead. People are dropping off snacks to the police department and saying we appreciate you, and I got classrooms of kids that are sending me get well cards. They cared, and people started to care more about the police right afterwards. It was a simple case of a man. Now, and I don't like to get too much into the race stuff because I don't blame this on race. What I blame is on the media today.
Yeah.
Especially had that been a man of another race, especially a black man, it would have been an entirely different set of headlines.
Oh my God! Look at Jacob Blake. It's insane.
Yeah,
And they would have
that's
said, white officer shoots a black man in his doorway. Luckily, that didn't happen, and it's sad that I have to be happy it wasn't a different, that it was a white man, but it's just sad. But I luckily didn't have to deal with a lot of it. I did get some calls from one of the channels here, and I just kept ignoring it because I thought it would be best to just move on and become a cop again.
Yeah.
I was going to say, man, you sure you're a cop in Minnesota?
Yeah. Well, that's what I'm saying, man, and it's everywhere. It's crazy. Like I feel so frustrated, and I can't imagine how frustrated police officers must be right now in the current climate, and just the way they're being judged, not on anything involving the cases. Like there's a couple cases I'm sure you know about, the dude walking in with a knife toward a convenience store, just getting, I don't know if you follow this.
Yeah, I think he had autism or something like that. That one?
Regardless,
there's so many of them.
He was walking toward a store with a knife, and they tased him or tried to stop him, and he was literally at the door. My point is that
I know what you're talking about. Yeah,
it's very. I can't imagine how hard it must be now to be out there and not, because even at those split second situations, like having that cloud your mind, that the am I going to be destroyed tomorrow because of, like every moment of every day having to worry about whether your whole life is going to be ruined, and you're going to be charged with like first-degree murder, that happened in another case that happened right after the Floyd case, where they were actually charged with. Like I said, I know I'm into all this. I know. So that's why I'm just, how frustrating must it be? I mean, I know you have been. When did you leave? When you actually your last you're in the force?
I retired officially in 2005, right around the 2-year mark of when it happened.
Oh, okay.
I was burned. To finish it up easy, because whoever's listening, you'll just have to order the book to get the rest of it.
That's kind of where I was going. I didn't want to give too much information about the book. So I want to go on to some other subjects, because you have an obviously idea of
and I have an idea of most of the subjects you'd probably talk about too. Real quick, after the 2 years and just the game plan and my exhaustion, I looked at my lawyer during a meeting. We had a really solid strategy, and I just said I'm tired, and what people like about me is I'm bubbly and I'm fun in the room. And I said what I fear is I'm going to be that bitter old cop. Mm-hmm. And I was like, what if I don't want to do this anymore? So we negotiated a plan, an exit plan, and made sure we twisted as much as we could to that current sheriff. I got to tell you, the current sheriff right now is amazing, but that current sheriff at that time was the problem. And moved on, and then over a few years of a lot of alcoholism and off and on and this and that, just trying to find my way. Ultimately, I realized one very important thing, and I wrote most of the book in a fluff ending, and I realized I had to find forgiveness, as cheesy as that sounds, before I could end that book. And when I finally found the forgiveness and I posted it publicly, I cried for a couple hours, and the end of the book just flowed.
Wow. Man. Well, I'm surprised, because you did say at the end of the book that you still wish you were a cop. How come you didn't transfer to another county or another department?
It was tough. I got, by that time, between family and just healing, because I had to recognize that I still had some physical limitations. I had a buyout. It wasn't a great one, but, there's the financial side of that. There was an agency that we backed up a lot up in St. Francis that the chief was talking to me often, and he wanted to bring me in there, but he never made it clear he wanted me to come back as a cop. I found out since he's passed away recently, and somebody else was telling me he wanted you with our department so bad, and probably all he had to do was ask.
Mm-hmm. Wow. Man, it's just weird how things could have, being that he didn't ask, and what you end up doing now, which we can talk about in a second. But one thing, since we're talking about today's issues and whatnot, you told me something interesting when we talked about a week ago about this whole defunding the police and how it's illegal.
Ridiculous defunding it. Well, it's stupid, first of all, and anybody listens to this and thinks it's not stupid.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, they when they want to defend the Minneapolis, I grew up in the north side of Minneapolis, and it's 50 times more violent now, and it was bad back then. But no, the fast version of it, we talked a little bit, and I kind of chuckled and told you, well, essentially it's illegal. So they have a charter commission that was appointed by Hennepin County judges, and they can't change their city charter without the charter commission. And some of them didn't believe in defunding the police. And then they'd have to have the charter commission go through a big process to get it on the ballot, which they have now since decided to postpone. I have a feeling this is going to go away quietly. And they're still meeting here and there, but so they didn't get it on the ballot because they knew they had to postpone it. Because you can't just defund the police without worrying about what the ramifications are for the labor board. They have labor agreements in place, and there was actually a place in Minnesota where they tried to do that for a firefighter unit up in the city of Brainerd, and they lost. So there's case law based on it, and then there's laws in the state of Minnesota that also require them to follow certain processes to make sure that the city's protected. And so just the process of let's just defund the police and start up this new program. And then on top of it, we have a post board, which is the Police Officer Standards and Training Board. It's their job to license and regulate the training. But yet Minneapolis is trying to circumvent and put these fathers against community violence folks up there. It's just nuts, man.
Oh, it's ridiculous. They have no idea what it's really like to be out there, most likely. And also, the funny thing about it, it's not the people that live in the hardest neighborhoods they're saying please don't defund the police.
Right,
it's these
right.
idiot gate living fuckfaces who have this ideal pie in the sky vision because they're the ones that never get. They're not the ones. Oh yeah, defund them, man. Yeah. Oh, that's okay. Just like the same people that say, oh yeah, go ahead and protest. Go ahead and burn down. Yeah, they're not burning down your house. They're burning. So as long as they're not burning down your place, you go ahead. Yeah, go ahead and do it. Right.
Right.
Exactly.
Ridiculous, man.
Well, it's refreshing to hear that, though, man. I was glad to hear you say that because, like I was saying to you that day, I'd be afraid that would happen there, and then other departments would follow suit, and then we just become this crazy country of anarchy and just criminal behavior.
Yeah, I feel like they're pandering for votes. I can't believe anybody in their right mind, but then I watch my Facebook feed. I'm not the kind that only has people of exact-minded thinking on my Facebook. I'm pretty open to having good. As long as it's a respectful debate, we can go at it. Doesn't matter if we agree or not. I enjoy that. But, yeah, no, it's crazy the amount of people that actually think this is a good idea. Those are also the people that don't live in those communities are going to be the most affected by it.
Yeah, they're the ones that say, well, businesses have insurance. I just want to go, are you an idiot? You can burn down a business because it has insurance?
Well, I wonder how many businesses are going to leave Minneapolis. They're starting to grumble because we just had we had a murder suspect in Minneapolis. This is how crazy it is here right now. Max, you and I didn't talk about this. We have a murder suspect, him and his woman killed this guy in the parking ramp. Within 2 to 4 hours, the Minneapolis police tracked the guy downtown. And he shoots himself as they're approaching. They started putting out that the cop shot him. People were saying, I witnessed it, he shot him. They actually had to go as far as releasing a video from surveillance cameras of a guy shooting himself in the head. What does our world come to? Right. That we have to release that.
It's well, hey, I'm 2 hours away from Portland, Oregon, so I'll just leave it there.
Oh my goodness.
I know, and that guy over the weekend, the Trump guy, the Trump supporter who was executed.
That was horrible.
And no one's reporting it, and they're not only not reporting it, they're actually calling them mostly peaceful protesters, or mostly peaceful fires is one thing I read on one of those taglines at the bottom of the CNN propaganda machine. Mostly peaceful fires, fiery but peaceful, fiery but peaceful.
That's what they're doing.
They're roasting marshmallows in the building remnants.
We're singing Kumbaya.
Kumbaya, yeah, and then the mayor is like denying federal aid. The mayor's like, no, we're not going to get your aid, Trump. We don't want anyone here helping. And like you, in any protests with, it's insane. It's
which is funny because over here, the mayor's going, I know I let them burn the town down, but can y'all give us like $600 million?
Yeah.
And Trump said no.
Oh, good. So Trump told him to fuck off then.
Pretty much. I mean, I'm sure it's going to be a little bit of a battle, but
I'm sure there's, but these people, they're instigating and they want. Like I said, it's I don't even know. It's hard to even explain at this point because it's, and like they're doing things. It seems so planned, like getting things like live PD off the TV, which is a Max favorite show, is a terrible idea for empathy for police because when you watch a lot of people, I guarantee a lot of minorities or the BIPOC is what they're called. By black and indigenous people of whatever the hell they're trying to call people.
Yeah, I think it's black indigenous people of color.
Love live PD. I know a lot of. First of all, I know a lot of people that love that show, and it also allows them to receive empathy towards police, because that's why they took it off, because they didn't want people to actually go, oh yeah,
we like the police.
I think what they did was they took it off because they knew cities were going to be full of unrest, and if they actually had live cameras of the cops having to deal with that, the police defund the police shit would go right out the goddamn window, because people have to see what these people have to deal with every day.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah, and if they rode with, especially if you rode with 4th Precinct, North Minneapolis, or down at 3rd Precinct where they had all the rioting and the George Floyd incident, if they just rode with them, just for like 3 shifts, their eyes would be completely different.
Oh yeah. Yeah. The narrative would be totally different.
Probably just 1 shift, and now we're finding out with George Floyd, which. If you guys don't know, I just take my time and I watch for facts, and I do. If he's wrong, he's wrong. I'll say it. I hate what Chauvin did. I hate that 8.5 whatever minute was. I absolutely hate what he did.
Yeah.
But I also was a DRE, which is a drug recognition expert, and I spent a lot of time doing drug enforcement. And that fentanyl's no joke. And then meth is something we have a lot of up here. And you add that together to get that what they call goofball. It's just like taking a speedball back that killed Jim Belushi and Chris Farley and the others. So it's coming out now that it was. I mean, I get that Chauvin looks bad, but
yes, but the video
when you see that body cam footage,
the video that was conveniently not released until a month and a half later. And then they do stupid shit like they charge him with 3rd-degree murder. They overcharge Chauvin. So now if he gets off, it's going to start the whole cycle again because they overcharged him.
Yeah, which is what they did with. At least they had the lesser charges with it. Like my example was always, although it wasn't police related, George Zimmerman. I have no doubt in my mind George Zimmerman would have been convicted of manslaughter, but they refused to charge it at manslaughter.
Because
I have a kind of a saying. Yeah. I say, charged with facts and details and truth, you're more likely to get a conviction. If you charge with emotion, you're going to get acquittals.
The guy's going to walk. Yeah. Yep.
Well, and that Jacob, the newest one, where the Jacob Blake one, where he literally is going into his car. I think he had been tased twice. They had guns open and on him. I'm like, he's an idiot. Why is he being? I don't understand why he's being. It's like all they see is white black. They don't. They're watching. I'm watching this video going. They had guns pointed at him for like 2 minutes.
Well,
after fighting with him, when they get that second video out, they had been fighting with him, and he broke free of them.
And that's what I'm saying.
Probably because they were taking lesser force, trying to de-escalate.
Because of all, he took advantage of it because of all the stuff going on. That's why they took so long, because they literally let him go up to the car door. They're sitting there pulling away from him with the guns out, and he's going around. That's what I remember. I mean, maybe I'm a little bit inaccurate. I think I have it right though. But the whole point is. How can you do your job? How can you protect people when you're going to be crucified for doing your job?
Yeah, you can't.
And that's
and
just
the first community that loses. The first community that loses, the same community that they're trying to protect.
Of course.
Yeah, amazing. It's very twisted. And I think some of this is due to this is why people are so nuts now, because I think this coronavirus has a lot to do with the mental
for sure.
Everybody,
I think we're in like
a
mental depression. I think the whole world is in some kind of mental dysphoria or depression. And I think
are you sure it's not Trump's fault? That's what I read.
Of course it is. It's Trump's fault that all these cities that are having all these awful riots have been run by Democrats for the last 30 years as well. Convenient.
Yeah. The same ones that are going to fix the problem and never do.
The same ones that are for Black Lives Matter run out a black female sheriff in Seattle because they cut her money by 40%, and completely tried to shut down her police and wouldn't allow her to do her job in her own city. So she just left. She just resigned.
I actually commended her for that. I thought that was great that at least she stood up and said, "You got to let me do my job."
And the thing is, and that's the thing, and from all accounts, she was one of she's one of the good guys, and she's going to go fuck that. I'm not going to. Why would you want to put your life on the line and put other people's lives as someone who's in charge of other people, not just the police, but the protesters, civilians, and then get shit on? Yeah. I don't care how good a Samaritan you are. I don't care how saintly you are and how much you want to help the community. If you go out and risk your life and then you get shit on for trying to help people.
Yeah,
know,
it's I told you in the book I still wanted to be a cop. I'm not anymore. I wouldn't be able to be a cop under this world.
So speaking of that, actually, we mentioned you're doing some other. Are you doing some similar work, or what are you up to now?
Oh yeah, tell them what you do, man.
I do a whole variety of things. That one side, Max, we're not going to talk about just to keep it smoother. But, retired, I do some speaking. I'm actually working on another book that's about a predator that's in prison for child molestation. And that's taken up a lot of my time, and being a father and trying to make sure I do what I can to keep myself mentally healthy. And during COVID-19, I'm not hardly working, which means I'm using the smoker a lot.
Cooking some meat. Well, actually, there was one thing that I wanted you to touch on, because Cruise Control would definitely be interested. You do improv comedy.
Yes, I definitely want to do. I haven't done it in a while though, but yes, improv comedy was so fun with Comedy Sports, and had an amazing instructor.
Yeah,
and wasn't on their paid. I went through all their training programs, and then they had a rec league, so we could just pay a little bit more, and then just continue each season to do the rec leagues, and I loved it.
Oh, it's so much fun. It's great. It's amazing. I had a group. It's probably one of the things I miss the most is the group that I had. I ran one here in Eugene, Oregon.
Nice.
And but
I had a blast.
With COVID, it just wiped the whole thing out, because the building that I use, the public building, like city run, and they're not opening it up. We can't have people, groups over 10. So but I do actually do an improv. I'll do a quick plug.
There you go, quick plug, man. That's what I was
plug. I do an musical improv show every Saturday night, where we make up songs based upon popular songs like "Eye of the Tiger" and "Purple Rain" and stuff like that, and we make different subjects of them. And it's called Earthling Music. So you want to check it out? It's on Facebook. Just look up Earthling Music on Facebook. Earthling Space Music. You'll see a little alien in a recliner. You'll know that's the picture. Then you can watch previous episodes. We do it live. It's not for not safe for kids. So if your kids are around, at 7 p.m. Pacific on Saturdays. So
that's the thing about Comedy Sports. You always got to keep it safe for family. Otherwise, you get a brown bag foul.
Oh, the brown bag.
I've only ever had two.
Yeah, because I was in the same group with Cruise Control for a little while.
Oh yeah.
I used to get bagged once in a while.
Oh, you would intentionally. He loved it. He'd get a smirk on his face before. You knew he was gonna say something that's gonna come out. That he'd get bagged with. But yeah, so that's awesome that you're into that, man. That's good. It's really.
I love it. I wish I could do it more. I wish I had more time. My instructor is on a hiatus right now as we work through the COVID-19 to keep him and his family safe. But it's not like our governor didn't shut most of our crap down anyway.
Yeah.
Right.
So, I'm sorry. Go ahead. Question, Matt.
Oh, I was just gonna say right. I was just kind of agreeing with him.
Okay.
So
Well, I have a question. One more question about the book. We'll let anybody who wants to go find that. First of all, sure. Is it on all the major places? Amazon. Where can we find this at?
It was on bn.com, but there was a hiccup on it that I've got to clear up. But yeah, it's on amazon.com. And then I've got a website to make it easier. It's super hard. It's not. It's 1088officerdown.com or 10-88officerdown.com.
Okay.
I have both of them, so they redirect, and it either has one directly from me or a quick link to the Amazon, or a link where they can read the first, I think, chapter and a half, 2 chapters to get a little feel and
yeah, that's awesome, man. Hopefully people will read this, kind of get more into this, because these kind of stories are, maybe we'll let some people who don't realize, because there's a lot of people that, cops are this and that. I'm like, man, dude, because obviously you had to go through, like a lot of people. I'm sorry, I'm not drawing the name correctly, but there's been several people in the past, like Patrick, who has been on.
Patrick Cullinan? Oh yeah.
Yeah, like you go into like spiral into alcoholism. That seems to be just a common theme of all that, because you're trying to, I don't know what, there's a number of things you could be doing, but also it doesn't seem, like I said, it doesn't seem to hit you all at once. Like months later, all of a sudden something will pop up, and you're like, what the fuck?
Post-traumatic stress, PTSD, whatever people want to call it, it's a dynamic little monster, and it's really keen on your whole life, because it's really not. When I went through treatment called EMDR, and I can't remember eye movement rapid desensitization, or something like that. Anyways, it's just like doing a DUI test, only do multiples. And she said, put a picture in your mind. You don't have to tell me when it changed. You just need to tell me that it changed. And I had sent a partner of mine who was in a pretty traumatic incident, told him about it, and he went and did it. And he said it was amazing. So she did it for me. And I mean, things popping up from when I was a kid, and just crazy how much emotions came out. Like I said, my story's so dynamic. We could talk about this for a week, but right afterwards, a buddy of mine that was in my wedding ended up committing suicide 6 months later. So I was going through a lot and with family stuff. So by the time, and then my stepdad died 3 days, within 3 days of that. And so it was just like, it helped me release. And so your personal life stacks on with all those traumas and the dead bodies and the babies and the amount of people that want to hate you and the spit. And, you have all this freedom, but yet you have supervisors that have personal agendas that just chop you down at the block. It all builds up. I attribute it to like a soda pop can. You shake it up really hard and it's filled with all the shit. Yep. And that incident, that shooting opens that can up.
Yep. And it fizzes. Yep, everywhere.
And just think about it.
It just explodes.
It's not like some trial. It's like you said, 4 or 5 minutes. You were dancing a shimmy before, like to the music. 4 or 5 minutes later, the soda can starts to shake. Right? Yeah,
it's nuts. Yeah, and so that soda can, and of course, even with that soda can, even when you clean up what you think is the mess, you find droplets from that mess for a long time. And that's the best way I give people a visual indicator. I'm healthy. I feel great. COVID-19's kicking my ass, but it's kicking everybody's ass. So whatever. It just, I just constantly try to monitor myself and be responsible for myself. You asked about nightmares. I don't get a lot of nightmares. Sometimes my wife will tap me and say, goodbye in the morning. And I'll jump up, and I've swung a couple times, not and hit her. It just, I get startled that my full defense system jumps up. But that's about, and sounds. There's certain frequencies that get me really on edge. Don't scrape a plate around me with a fork or knife. I won't be friendly about it.
couple more questions on my end. Just about the this seems to have helped you heal and get some clarity as writing this book. Obviously,
that's why I wrote it. Yeah.
Yeah. Was that after? How long have you been married? Were you married after you left the force, or is that a newer part of your life?
No, I had a 4.5-year-old from a previous relationship, and then I had a fiance when I got shot, and she and I were scheduled to get married that 6 months later. And right. we still did. I mean, it was a tough summer, but we just moved forward with it. And then I forgot the second half of your question. I get a little ADHD sometimes.
You're all still together, or is that?
Oh yeah, yep. She's sitting upstairs, probably listening to my story for the 50th time, doing what she can to keep the 12-year-old from yelling on his computer game and the dog barking.
Well, what's crazy is that's obviously somebody who went through some major shit with you, so they obviously love you because they stuck by you.
Yeah, I mean? I'm pretty appreciative of my family. My youngest had to, it's hard to have a father going through those demons, and it's hard to have a husband going through those demons. I'm pretty lucky in one thing that you wouldn't normally say. My wife's not a cop's wife. And what I mean by that is she doesn't dive into the politics of the cop world. It's a separate thing. So she just never got into it like a lot of cop wives would. And I am not insulting her for that. And I'm certainly not insulting a cop's wife for that. It's just a different dynamic. Mm-hmm. And, even when they brought her to the hospital, she'd yelled at me for not calling her when I hurt my ankle a couple weeks before, and they brought me to the hospital and never told her. So when they picked her up, and they're driving her at 2-3 in the morning, and she said after the cop ran the 4th red light with his lights and sirens on, she started thinking something was wrong.
When you said not a cop's wife, the first thing I think of, I want to say it was Falling Down. Remember the one police officer's wife keeps calling him, and she's like, I don't know what's going on. I'm scared. I'm here alone by myself. And he's like, look, I got to work late. I just can't, and she just is totally out of touch with what his situation was,
Yeah. And, and that's okay, because that actually allowed me to come home every day and vent and then move on and stay healthy. Because she wouldn't get into it. She wouldn't feed into any monsters. She would just, okay. Yeah. Okay. And then, you, by the way, I had to pull up Falling Down to make sure, and I love that movie. That was a nuts
Michael
movie.
Douglas? Yeah. And I think it was the one cop in there that was following him around or trying to get him.
Robert Duvall.
That's right, Robert Duvall. Yep, and his wife just kept bugging the piss out of him at the station. And he's just like, Jesus, let me do my work.
No, she would do that. If I had to work extra hours, it was pretty much call her if it was early, but don't wake her up,
Yeah.
She knew it would be okay, but it happens. But Yeah, no, jumping down, I remember now. You were asking about why writing the book. I thought about it, you think about these things. You gotta go into a whole new world. And, by the way, there's not really money in writing a book unless you're a celebrity already, so that some big publisher can make you. I'm just happy when I get my expenses covered. And, but no, it was a healing process. When I first got hired for a speaking event, it was a pretty solid paid one. I didn't know what I was going to do to fill that time. And what was 3.5 hours turned into about 2 if I was lucky. And I think I told him 3, and then I ended up doing it for about an hour. And I knew that I babbled too much on about the story and the anger. And so I started writing down my thoughts to organize. And that's actually what turned into a book. And then as I did it, I healed more and more. The more times I said it and got off my chest, the less angry I was.
It's awesome, man. And you can get that now. And hey, support, man. Yeah, it's COVID-19. Go out there if you got a few bucks. Support.
Book.
Don't buy a freaking Twilight novel next time you go out to buy a
or the Frigid White Person, or what was that book you were
White Fragility.
White Fragility, yeah.
Oh Lord.
That's where we can. Let's not go down that rabbit hole. But do you have any other questions, Max?
No, you know what? I did have one, because remember I told you I had a genre, and I said your book should be classified in this subgenre.
Oh yeah, we were talking about that, and you said you were going to tell me.
Yeah, okay. So we have a word. We call it somebody is a corporanicon if they behave in a corporate way. You know what I mean? Like they're underhanded, and they're just kind of not telling what they're up to, and they really have an agenda. So I'm thinking your genre would be called the Corprana genre.
Okay.
That's what it was. But the main draw for me was to see what the hell they were up to, why they were doing this stuff, and why they were playing those games with you. So that's why I came up with Corprana genre. I'm like, this is Corprana genre, man.
I did enjoy your periodic text as you got through parts of the book, which I had other people do too. And they would just stop and they would text me because, I got a couple of reviewers like, well, the structure is different. And my editor told me to change the structure. And I was like, no, this is my story. This is how it's going.
Right.
And I only got bashed by one reviewer, and it was only off 1 star, so whatever.
Oh, yeah. Well, I read the book, man. Like I said, I read it in a day, and that was saying something.
I have it actually here, so I can actually go into it a little bit further as well. Like I said, I looked into it, but if you want to go into it further, like all these corporate things that Maxwell's talking about, you can find that once again on Amazon, and also the main site though is 1088
Officer Down.
And that's
.com.
.com?
Yep, so 1088officerdown.com, or you can do 10-88officerdown.com. So, Dustin, again, thanks, man. Is there any final words you want to leave everybody with? Or
just want everybody to know that, number one, all cops are not bastards. They're pretty awesome people that risk their lives every day. A human being deserves the right to walk the streets without being unfairly harassed. I get it, but somebody who puts their life on the line like that, I think it's a pretty special thing. And number two, you two are nuts, and I love it.
Oh, good. All right. Good shit.
All right, man. Well, once again, thank you for your service, and also just because you are still serving people by doing this, by getting your story out. People can empathize.
I appreciate that.
Can sympathize and go, wow, this shit's crazy. Not just the stuff you have to deal with on the streets, but also with the corporate mindset or whatever. So yeah, man.
I appreciate that.
Thanks for joining us. Max, anything else?
Oh, that's it, man. Well, on that note, I'm Maxwell Silverhammer.
And I'm Crews Control. And that's the story there, bitches! See you later. Nothing sacred.
We are nothing sacred. We are nothing sacred. We are nothing sacred. With Maxwell Silverhammer. We are nothing sacred. With Crews Control.